Hi there, I'm Jeff from Brilliant Labs, and today we're going to be reading the story Rosie Revere, Engineer by Andrea Beaty and completing a Maker Challenge. So, to get started, this character in the story, Rosie Revere, is actually based on another character from a long time ago. I'll leave this with your teachers to look into, but there's a fun article on wonderopolis.org where you can learn all about Rosie the Riveter and why this character was so important back during World War II. This is the story of Rosie Revere, who dreamed of becoming a great engineer. In Lila Greer's classroom at Blue River Creek, young Rosie sat shyly, not daring to speak. But when no one saw her, she peeked in the trash for treasures to add to her engineer stash. And late at night, Rosie rolled up her sleeves and built in her hideaway under the eaves. Alone in her attic, the moon high above, dear Rosie made gadgets and gizmos she loved. And when she grew sleepy, she hid her machines far under the bed where they'd never be seen. I wonder why Rosie feels like she has to hide her inventions. When Rosie was young, she had not been so shy. She worked with her hair swooped over one eye and made fine inventions for uncles and aunts, a hot dog dispenser and helium pants. The uncle she loved most was zookeeper Fred. She made him a hat to keep snakes off his head. From parts of a fan and some cheddar cheese spray, which everyone knows keeps pythons away. And when she was finished, young Rosie was proud, but Fred slapped his knee and he chuckled out loud. He laughed till he wheezed and his eyes filled with tears, all to the horror of Rosie Revere, who stood there embarrassed, perplexed, and dismayed. She looked at the cheese hat and then looked away. I love it, Fred hooted. Oh, I truly do. But Rosie Revere knew that that could not be true. She stuck the cheese hat on the back of her shelf, and after that day, she kept her dreams to herself. And that's how it went until one autumn day. Her oldest relation showed up for a stay. Her great great aunt Rose was a true dynamo who'd worked building airplanes a long time ago. She told Rosie tales of the things that she'd done, the gold that she'd checked off her list one by one. She gave a sad smile as she looked to the sky. The only thrill left on my list is to fly. But time never lingers as long as it seems. I'll chalk that one up to an old lady's dreams. That night, as Rosie lay wide-eyed in bed, a daring idea crept into her head. Could she build a gizmo to help her aunt fly? She looked at the cheese hat and said, No, not I. But questions are tricky, and some hold on tight, and this one kept Rosie awake through the night. So, when dawn approached and red streaks lit the sky, young Rosie knew just how to make her aunt fly. She worked and she worked till the day was half gone and then hauled her cheese copter out onto the lawn to give her invention a test just to see the ridiculous flop it might turn out to be. I like how she took that old invention that didn't work out the first time, the hat, and she used those ideas to create a new invention. That's pretty cool. Strapped into the cockpit, she flipped the switch. The Hello Cheesy copter sputtered and twitched. It floated a moment and it whirled round and then froze for a heartbeat and crashed to the ground. Then Rosie heard laughter and turned round to see the old woman laughing and slapping her knee. She laughed till she wheezed and her eyes filled with tears, all to the horror of Rosie Revere, who thought, oh no, never, not ever again will I try and build something to sputter or spin, or build with a lever, a switch, or a gear, and never will I be a great engineer. She turned round to leave, but then great great Aunt Rose grabbed hold of young Rosie and pulled her in close, and hugged her and kissed her and started to cry. You did it! Hooray! It's the perfect first try! This great flop is over. It's time for the next. Young Rosie was baffled, embarrassed, and perplexed. I failed, said dear Rosie. It's just made of trash. Didn't you see it? The cheese copter crashed. Yes, said her great aunt. It crashed, that is true. But first, it did just what it needed to. Before it crashed, Rosie, before that, it flew. Your brilliant first flop was a raging success. Come on, let's get busy and on to the next. She handed a notebook to Rosie Revere, who smiled at her aunt as it became clear life might have its failures, but this was not it. The only true failure can come if you quit. They worked till the sun sneaked away to its bed. Aunt Rose tied her handkerchief round Rosie's head and sent her to sleep with a smile ear to ear to dream of bold dreams of a great engineer. At Blue River Creek, all the kids in grade 2 build gizmos and gadgets and doohickeys too. With each perfect failure, they all stand and cheer, but none quite as proud as Rosie Revere. And that's the end. But I have a challenge for you. If you remember on this page, way back from the beginning, Rosie's first invention that she thought was a failure at first, which turned out not to be, that first invention was a hat that would repel or keep snakes away. And makers, that is your challenge today. Just like that was Rosie's first step, it's going to be yours as well. Your job is going to be to design and create a hat that you think could keep some snakes away. So let's think about what you know about snakes. What might they be scared of, or what might keep them away, or what might they not like? And how could you use that to create a hat that would repel or keep snakes away from you? It can be a little bit silly. You might not have the same exact thing that you needed. Like, for example, Rosie had a can of cheese spray. I'm assuming you don't have cheese spray in your classroom right now, so you can pretend that things are other things that you might need. So use a little bit of imagination, a lot of creativity, and I cannot wait to see your snake repelling hats that you invent today. So be sure, teachers, to share it with us. We would love to see all the amazing inventions from your class. Have a fantastic day and stay brilliant. Bye, everybody.